Because it's like when I sit in front of that computer and I feel a certain way and I let my emotions out into that beat, once I feel that it's done, by the time I'm done and I'm getting up, I don't even feel like how I felt when I first sat down.
This is Champagne is Also a Band podcast. One songwriter, one song. I'm Sven, your host for a journey into the music of Champaign-Urbana. Recorded in the Blue Box studio with a songwriter from the Champaign-Urbana music scene, past or present. Champagne is Also a Band podcast is proud to be a part of the Champagne Showers podcast network. Welcome to Champagne is Also a Band podcast. Today, I have Ricko.6ix3O, and you may know Ricko from his beat making, but also his collaboration with JLøve, which you might have heard in episode 140. So, Ricko, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm blessed to be here.
So today we're going to be listening to your song, Thought I Was Done, featuring JLøve, off of the single that was released. When was that released?
I believe November 3rd of last year.
Okay, it's of last year. Oops, I was going to say.
Oh, actually, no, not. I'm forgetting we're in a new year already. I mean, 2023.
Oh, okay.
My
right?
mistake.
No, it's funny because it takes me half a year to figure out which year I'm actually in.
Right,
So,
yeah.
Without further ado, let's listen to the song.
It's like I always say. Like I say all the time, when I make beats, I don't never go into it with like a intention of making something specific. I just hop into it. Whatever I'm feeling at the moment comes out in my music. So it's like I put my emotions into my music. So however I'm feeling, that's the type of vibe that come on. Also, that inspired me to like make someone like very different. But this beat is beautiful to me, man.
Welcome back. So, of course, my first and favorite question to always ask is, what came first? Was it the music or was it the lyrics?
It was definitely the music. I created the beat. I can't remember off the top, but it'll come to me as I continue talking about it. But the melody is actually in reverse in the beat because it's a melody I created and I liked it when I first created it. But then after a while, I kept listening to it and then it just I didn't like it anymore. So I wanted to give like some type of touch up or some type of change just to give it a different vibe. So I ended up reversing it and it turned out to sound like what you hear in the beat, and I fell in love with it off the rip.
So I'm just thinking about how you created the melody initially. Were you singing that, or was somebody singing it, or did you plunk it out on a keyboard? Or
on a keyboard.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a MIDI keyboard that I create my melodies and beats on. I created the melody. I ended up reversing it, and I fell in love with it. I brought it to JLøve because I wanted her to do like some back vocals or kind of like ad-lib or like harmonize in the background where I can kind of like add it as like a sample type of thing. But sent her the beat. She pretty much overdid it. She had the melody in her head. She ended up like writing stuff out to it, recorded it, and then sent it back to me. And when I listened to it, it was not anything I expected because I thought she was just going to do like a harmony or something like that. And it turned out to be much more than that.
So what we initially hear when JLøve is singing, is that the reverse of the melody that you're talking about, or is that a melody that she came up with over the top of your beat?
The melody she came up with over the top of my beat.
I guess this beat is a beat about making a beat in a way.
Pretty much, yeah.
You know, which, I mean, artists and musicians have been creating things about the things that they create for so long. I find it really interesting to think about, you know, how this formed into where it was talking about itself, which I don't know.
Yeah.
As I said, I love that. So when did that concept kind of come about?
Well, the fun fact about that is the beginning part with me talking about the beat, that was actually sampled from a live that I did. I have this thing where I do like every like once a month or so where I do like live. I go like Instagram live or Facebook live. And I just like live record me making a beat or something. And I have like people in the comments like, you know, telling me what they think it sounds like or what type of vibe they get from it, things like that. So that was a sample from me like presenting that beat to someone on Instagram live. And I ended up adding that into the beat later on because I'm actually talking about this specific beat on that live. And I really like was expressing how I felt when I made that beat on that live. So I was like, I felt like it would be dope to kind of have it as like an intro of the beat.
One of the things that I love about the way that JLøve does this intro, and then you kind of give a preface or like a heads up about what's going to happen or just like what's going through your head and how you're creating it. But that all happens before the beat drops, you know? And so there's this weird... I got such a sense of like this is these elements starting to form, you know, like coming together and like these ethereal ideas kind of like falling into place. And it's like you do a really good job of starting off with these very small elements that just kind of like it's almost watching like pixels form to make a picture.
I get it.
And then right as you drop, it's like it's a crystal clear picture, you know.
I love that.
One of the things I was thinking about is you have the initial intro with JLøve, and then she returns like halfway through the piece, and it's some of the same, but also some really cool harmonies are going on. It's almost like this kind of choir kind of coming about, where it's just you're reflecting kind of on where it started out and then how it's expanded and gotten better. Was that like an effect that you did, or did JLøve actually record multiple takes to create those harmonies?
That was all her.
Wow.
That was all her. Like when she was here and she really told you that she records herself, she engineers herself, she literally does all of that herself. All I did was send her the beat, and everything that you heard that she did all of that on her own. I just provided the beat and she did what she was going to do.
So here's that question that I was curious about. I was kind of going through and trying to figure the format of your beats. Like, how are you dividing things up? Mm-hmm. And so, of course, I grabbed my guitar, and this may not be something that you're even remotely interested in, but I kind of geek out about. But I was like, you decided on G flat major, or E flat minor, kind of as the relative minor. But I was just curious, was that just part of it is that a lot of music happens in certain keys because that's what people have in front of them, like their guitars. Like guitars don't necessarily work the best in like G flat minor. So I was curious about the process of using that key, or how that key ended up being the key that you used. How was that decision made, or was that just how when you did the melody, your fingers just kind of landed on those keys?
That's kind of how it went. It's just when I did the melody, it kind of just landed on those keys. Because like when I come up with melodies, I never have like a set sound or tune in my head. I kind of just freestyle it, and then I go from there. Like if I like how it sounds, then I might keep it, and then I might add like some effects or something just to kind of mess with it to see if I can amp it up a little bit. But then I like to mess around with it first before I just kind of scrap it, because you never know what you could come up with if you just keep trying.
Right.
The creativity has to keep flowing, and you don't know what you would come up with.
So I'm going to back up. You had a melody that you ended up reversing. And then what was the next step after that? Did you drop in the bass under it? Which I actually love the bass a lot. You've got these really ethereal parts kind of going through, and then you drop in the bass that has these kind of syncopated, but also like dropping right on the beat, which you would expect with a bass, but it I don't know, it just has a really nice flow about it. And what was the next step in terms of over this melody? What did you add next to kind of flesh it out or create this piece?
Percussion, but definitely, to be specific, probably hi-hats. I probably did the hi-hats first, because I'm heavy on percussion. Like I love drums a lot as well. So like, as far as you saying like you love the 808s, that's something that I put a lot of time into. Like 808s, bass in general, like that's my strong suit. I love that in beats. So what came next after the melody was some hi-hats, open hats, basically all the percussion stuff. And then I kind of vibed out until I found like where I wanted to go with the bass for it.
Do you actually plunk out the bass line, or were you arranging that like as a MIDI?
Arranging it in the MIDI, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, interesting. So how did you decide on that beat that you were generating with just the bass line itself, not just, how should I say, more the rhythm that you were creating with the bass? Because it's dances in between what's going on with the hi-hats. Yeah, I guess whatever that question was. But how did you decide on that? Do you remember thinking about how you were creating that bass line?
Basically, what I was saying when I started off, when I had the melody originally, then when I reversed it, it gave me a whole different mindset on where I wanted to go. So when I reversed it, it gave me this kind of like, thinking back, or kind of like going back in time type of like sound. Because with the reverse, it gives like that warpy, like, type of vibe. So when I reversed it, it kind of gave me just basically this trippy vibe. And I wanted to have like an in-between section of like, I didn't want everything to kind of seem like it's piled on top of each other. I like to have like breaths in between of like, especially the bass line, because it's certain beats where I do like consistent sub bass lines, and some where I just do 808s, which like that one is the 808 bass. And how I came up with it, honestly, I can't even really say. It was just kind of like freestyled it.
Sometimes I picture, and at least sometimes this is my method as well, if I write something, is I just kind of repeat the melody that I want to use, and then I keep playing whatever line I want, and then when it seems to like land, I just kind of cut that piece out and use that going forward.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And I'm kind of curious if that was what you were thinking.
Yeah, that's kind of how it started out, though. That's how it started out, was like that. And then the rest of it, because I wanted to find like the key of like bass I wanted to start off with first, and then I kind of just winged it, basically. When
you say the key, like, did you mean like kind of the home base, like where it kind of comes back down, and you're like, okay, now we're restarting a phrase with it, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, or it resolves at this point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Even the title, I'm curious about, because it's "Thought I Was Done," like, and it makes me think about the line that JLøve has at the beginning, you'd already used this as a beat on live Instagram, and you did the voiceover before she did this vocal, or no?
No, she did the vocals first.
Okay.
And then I kind of added the sample on top of that. Well,
and I was curious if that "No, I Ain't Done" line is kind of what "Thought I Was Done." Yeah. Like that play back and forth, like how that ended up being the thing that named or gave it the title. Yeah. Is that what happened, or is it like between your voiceover and that? Kind of both, but it was mostly on JLøve because she came up with the lyrics and the vocals and everything. With that being said, in her lyrics, I kind of just pinpointed that in what she was saying and made it the title. And then also that was during a time where like I was like iffy with a music situation, because with me making music for like my mental health and everything like that, that's like my whole purpose of doing it. And sometimes like I have these moments where I just don't want to do it, or I just want to give up sometimes, and I'm like, this is not healing for me anymore. And that beat honestly was like my first beat I made after taking like kind of like a hiatus from making beats for like a couple months. So I think that's what came to her mind when I made that beat. And then she was like, well, you thought I was done. Like, you thought I was done, but no, I'm not. I'm back now. Like, this is, so I think that's kind of how it came to mind for her. My impression was that it was just the overall, I mean, and maybe this is exactly in line with what you were saying, but that kind of as much as you create things and make new things, you're always going to want to create and make new things after that. So it's like, I can sit here and be all excited about how I just finished this great beat and I thought I was done, but really I've got so much more work to do. I've got to keep going. In that context, I was thinking about, I guess, some of the tones that are going in and some of the chords. Like I feel when I'm listening to this mix of, it's about the struggle, about trying to get there, and then also kind of also achieving it, but there's like a sense of happiness, sadness about how hard it was, maybe. Like that's the feeling that I get. It's like the fight, I'm just curious about how you think about your use of the percussion throughout here, because there's several parts that repeat as if you're returning to like a verse, right? But I'm curious about your, I want to say your playfulness with the beat, with the hi-hat, the things like that. Like, how do you, especially with the title of Thought I Was Done, how do you decide when you've gone too far, not enough? I mean, because I feel like this tries very hard and succeeds to strike this balance of like too much or not enough. Like, is it, how do you make that decision? Is it a lot of just like you throw out as many ideas as you can and then you just kind of decide which things you pull in or put back in? Or pretty much. And like with me as like a producer as well, I'm kind of like big on like simplicity. I don't like to add a lot to a beat, and I don't like to make a beat like too complex. And I don't like it to be, well, not like a ear sore to listen to, because it's like too many things you have to pay attention to at once when you're listening. That can be great, but sometimes, especially for me, like with me making music for like my emotions and everything like that, I put out how I'm feeling into my beat. So like if I'm feeling like, oh, I haven't let everything out into this yet, it needs more, then that's when I'm at a deciding factor, like it needs more, or that's it right there. Because it's like when I sit in front of that computer and I feel a certain way and I let my emotions out into that beat, once I feel that it's done, by the time I'm done and I'm getting up, I don't even feel like how I felt when I first sat down, because all of my emotions is into that instrumental that I just made. There's one thing that I note a lot about when beats are made is that it's written in a way that if someone were to put some vocals over it later, it doesn't already just kind of lay everything out so that it's just a cacophony, and then whoever's trying to put vocals over it, it's just like I can't find a space to actually drop vocals on top of that. When you were writing this, were you thinking about it being something that people would put vocals over later, or did you want to look at this as a like that piece that could stand on its own. And it seems like because you released it, that's kind of where I was thinking, but I'm not sure. It's that thought process I'm really curious about. Like, how do you work on that?
I usually always just make beats, and when I make beats, I kind of just keep them like either looped out until someone either hears it and then they be like, oh, I like this. Like, can I get this beat or something like that? Then that's kind of like how the layout will come out. Like if somebody wants to be on the song, then that's when I will either work with that artist on the layout and we kind of pick like how the beat is going to be, things like that. But for me, I don't necessarily make beats to like sell or things like that, because like when me starting out to make beats, it's always been like my outlet, like my way of decompressing and things like that. So I never like really been into making beats for money all the time. But like I've been encouraged when I was younger by my grandma and things like that to like get my music out there, because you never know that like the sounds that I put out and the emotions that I put into these sounds can reach other people. And you know, it could strike certain emotions in another person, whether it's good or bad, but maybe it could be, you know, the same emotions that you put into that beat, someone else can feel it, and it can help them in a way. You never know. That's kind of how it goes for me.
I'm going to tell you what I think is like my favorite part of the song. One of the things that I appreciate a lot about this beat is that it kind of begins and ends the same. So it feels like it's made a journey, and it feels like it's gone somewhere and then it's come back.
Yep.
But the thing that I like, even as you've started with formless, shapeless, and then it kind of came into being, and then the beat drops, there's that part where it starts I want to say in like the last, like after minute 4, there's a spot where, you know, things start kind of dropping back out, and then even the beats kind of come in and go out, and so like even the bass kind of peaks up and then comes back down and disappears. I really enjoy that part, because it feels like you're getting to the end of your journey and you're kind of like, oh, I can finally rest. I kind of feel like that's the spot where, I don't know, it feels like that part is maybe emotionally is like an emotional reward. I want to say like you're like, I can finally, things are kind of settling down, things are landing where they need to be, and I can finally put this down and then move on to the next thing. So for me, that's a part that I really like. But I'm also, because I tend to do this with your beats, is I'm going to throw in a second part, which is that I also like, because I couldn't decide, is there's and maybe it's just because I like the way that you use the snare, that register or whatever. I'm trying to remember where that landed, because I was going to write it down and then I forgot. Oh, at like minute 3, because I did write it down. Good. So at like minute 3, there's a part where, and in my brain, I'm like, I don't remember if you really used the snare that prominently before, or it just kind of comes in, but there's this, you're doing some shuffles with it, and then it kind of comes in, and then you do the, what is it? I don't even know what the term is, but when it's you can make it as if you're, really? I can't even think of the word. But I know what you're saying. But like where it's like it's sped up, but it's also like rapid hits. Yeah, you know, just and kind of
like a stutter effect.
Almost. Yeah. Well, it's funny because I'm sure that somebody that's listening to this is just screaming like, "It's this!" But that to me also hits like it's you're putting in those last bits of effort. From even on a musical standpoint, it's enough of a change that kind of brings in new interest in what's going on. It feels like that might be a part where somebody's just starting to kind of check out. Yeah. But then you kind of bring them back in with that snare part. So I'm just throwing that out there. But so I'm curious, what is your favorite part of this piece?
I would say the melody for sure, but of course the overall beat. But the vibe I get from it, it's emotional but hard hitting, and that's literally how like I felt when I made the beat. It was like I was very emotional, like questionable in my head though, not knowing like what my next move was going to be, if I wanted to like return to doing music the way I was, or you know, trying something different or something like that. So it was pretty much like a mental fight, emotional mental fight, like presented in that beat. And that's kind of like the vibe that I get from it, with the reverse melody and then also the hard hitting percussion. It's kind of like that mental battle
Sure.
Yeah.
Like finding that balance between
Yes.
elements to make it exist.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Why did you pick this song to be the song you wanted to talk about today?
Well, one, that song in specific holds a special spot in my heart, especially because that was a moment where I was genuinely thinking about just being through with music. And with that being like kind of like my return instrumental that I made coming back into music, it means a lot to me, and especially with having the assist from JLøve with the vocals as well. That's one of the main reasons why I chose that one for sure.
Champagne is Also a Band podcast is proud to support Jubilee Cafe. Jubilee Cafe is a free weekly meal program at Community United Church of Christ, 805 South 6th Street in Champaign, Illinois. Jubilee Cafe serves a home-cooked meal from 5 to 6:30 each Monday. Their mission is to feed hungry people by cooking healthy, delicious meals and by serving their guests restaurant-style with servers waiting on tables. Jubilee Cafe is open to anyone who cares to eat with them. Because food insecurity among students is so high, they serve students as well as others in and around the Champaign-Urbana community who struggle with hunger. Meals are free to all and will be served each Monday evening, located in the accessible lower level of the building at 6th and Daniel Streets in Champaign. For more information on the meal or how to volunteer, go to the Jubilee Cafe CUCC Facebook page or email them at jubilee.cafe@community-ucc.org. That's jubilee.cafe@community-ucc.org. Welcome back. So, Ricko, what is your favorite Champaign-Urbana venue?
The only ones I've been to is probably the Canopy Club and Gallery Art Bar. And out of those two, I probably would have to say Gallery Art Bar would be my favorite. I like the aesthetics that's in there. I love the visuals. And I just love how like supportive everyone is in there when there's an act on stage and, you know, performances is going and everything like that. I love Gallery Art Bar for sure.
So have you performed at either location, or are you working to perform, or?
I haven't performed at neither. I don't know if I ever will. I probably will though, whenever I eventually drop some music, but I don't know when that's going to be, honestly.
I could kind of imagine that perhaps your music has actually been performed probably at some of those locations as a producer.
Yeah,
right?
it has.
So I mean, in a way, you're there, but
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I just haven't like actively been on stage, but I have had like my music played there, performed there.
How does that feel to you? Is that nerve-wracking? Is that like exciting? You know, like just to have kind of, I want to say in a weird way, like you, at this point, you've given the beat to somebody to do with as they will. So, I mean, really, right?
Yeah.
I would be nervous, really nervous, because be like, how well would that be received? I know that in the end, it comes down to the performer doing a good job. Have you been in the presence while it's being performed somewhere, and then like how was that?
Probably around the time I first witnessing someone perform a song that I produced, I did have a lot of nerves, and I was a little younger back then, and I was also in a club that I really wasn't supposed to be in, but I got let in by the artist because I was the producer, but I was actually too young to be there. With me being the producer, I was able to get in. So nerves was already there for me being in the building that I wasn't supposed to be in. And then also, this is my first time having someone perform on something that I produced and to the public. So in my head, I'm thinking like, wow, I wonder what's going to be everyone's reaction. Like, are they going to be like, oh, this beat sucks or something like that? Or like, this song's trash or something like that. I'm like, but then like, of course, as I got older, I just kind of like not had that mindset. And then also like with me making beats, I always made beats for myself. So it's like for someone to hear it and like it, for me, I genuinely appreciate it. And I'm like honored because I'm like, this is just my type of sound. So it's like for someone to be like, yo, I love this. Can I get it? Like, I'm like, I honestly wasn't expecting to like give this beat away, but I mean, if you want it, then
Right.
It's like that. So that's kind of how the vibe I get from it, honestly.
As you were talking, I was thinking about, well, and most of the time, if anyone would select your beat to perform, they've already kind of made that decision that this is kind of their peak, right? Like, this is what they want to be doing because they're proud of how that sounds. They're not going to pick the worst thing and then go and perform it. So in some ways, you already have somebody that's made a decision that, oh, this is really good, and I want to use it. Whoever is performing it has made sure that it's the best choice for them, too.
Right.
So what's your favorite show that you've seen at Canopy or Gallery Art Bar?
I do have a favorite performance from both of them. Gallery Art Bar, so far right now, is probably Supra's album release party. That one was probably like the most, turned performance I've been to at Gallery Art Bar in a while. All of Half House was there. DJ BJ Clark was there. It was a lot of fire local artists there. Mari came through. Steve Soul came through. A lot of great performances, a lot of great energy. That performance there at Gallery Art Bar was definitely top for me. Canopy, I would probably say the Fuck Finals. That one, I think I went to the one in 2023. That's the one, me and JLøve went to that one. That one was fire. That was like, I think my first performance I went to at Canopy, because JLøve introduced me to Canopy, because I've only been out here for about 2 years, so I'm still learning the scene, local, venues and things like that. I'm still meeting local artists and getting to know people. With that being my introduction performance to Canopy was fire. So that one,
Who was performing at that Fuck Finals? Was that 2024, you said?
2023, I think.
2023.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember.
Or what was your favorite?
My favorite? I think that was when I first met I Am Lost 2. I met him for the first time. He actually was the one who gave me the tickets. I met up with him to get the tickets before the show, because me and JLøve was still trying to figure out if there were any tickets available, because we kind of wanted to go last minute. So we were asking some of the local artists if they knew anyone that had any extra tickets we can get. And he was like, yeah, I have like maybe, I think he said like 4 or 5 or something. And he was like, if you want to meet up, we can meet. And I'll give you like 2 of them. I was like, okay. So I actually went up to Canopy before the show happened. And I met Leslie at Canopy, and I grabbed the tickets from him and, introduced myself, talked with him a little bit. And then I was telling him I was excited to see him perform later on, but he was one of the acts. I think that was when I initially saw Steve Soul perform too, because I think he was there. There's a couple other people. I think JL the Boss was there. I think Mari was there. I've been to like a couple performances now, so it's kind of a blur. Right. To try to remember everyone, because and also Fuck Finals usually has like a packed out like set list, right? So it's kind of like hard to remember everyone, but the highlighted ones, the ones I just named, those are the ones I can really remember at the moment. But that show was fire, and I think they had 2 different stages going on with different performances that night. So it was like the Red Room had performances going on, and then the main stage had performances going on. So it was kind of like anywhere you go, it was something happening.
What do you think makes a good music scene?
Definitely great energy, supportive community, and just having, local artists that support each other. Because nowadays, and in a lot of this era, it's hard to come across, communities and things like that, and other artists that like to support each other, because a lot of people sometimes have to always feel like they got to have one up over the other, or this one is better than the other, or something like that, or my crew is better than your crew, or we got this going on and you guys don't. Like, that's something that's a plus. Definitely a diverse genre of music, because I love all genres of music. I'm not really stuck to just one genre. I'm not like a hip hop guy or just a trap guy or anything like that. I listen to everything. And especially to be a producer, you kind of have to have that mindset, especially when you creating beats and things like that. And if you like to sample, you have to have that ear.
Certainly as a beat maker, it's like you never know what gem you can sample that makes the beat just right. You never know what's going to be a great hook or whatever.
Yeah.
What do you think Champaign-Urbana could do better?
Like I said, I've only been out here for about 2 years, right, and kind of still getting a feel for the music scene. So I'm still picking up on the energy and the vibe and everything that's out here, and the venues and the people and all of that. So I don't really have anything that I think that they can do better at the moment, because I honestly like everything. I've loved every performance I've been to so far. I like all the venues I've been to so far. Haven't really seen anything that's and I'm like, yeah, that could be better, or this performance could have been better, or something like that. It's been pretty cool so far.
Champaign is also a band podcast is proud to support Exile on Main Street. Exile on Main Street, located in the old train station building at 100 North Chestnut Street in downtown Champaign, has been helping to build record collections since 2004. Carrying a wide array of new and used LPs, CDs, and video games. Exile on Main Street has something for just about any music enthusiast and old-school gaming devotee. Exile also hosts regular free live music shows on its stage, so be sure to check out their Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages for the up-to-date details on the next upcoming event. Open 7 days a week, they can be reached by phone at 217-398-MAIN. That's 217-398-6246. Welcome back. So, Ricko, what is your favorite non-musical thing or things?
Definitely video games. I like to play video games a lot. Basketball and working out and working, honestly, because I work a lot. I'm a FedEx delivery driver. And that's why, like I was saying, with the driving here, it really wasn't much of a big deal because this is something I have to do every day. Be outside in the snow. And
do those trucks get they don't get stuck very easily, do they?
They do. And it's ironic you said that because I just got stuck on Tuesday. I got stuck in a ditch.
Is it one that has the dualies in the back or no?
Not my truck. My truck doesn't.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I keep picturing that they're the ones that have the two wheels in the back, and I'm like, how could that get stuck? But anyway, did you have to get towed out or whatever? Or?
Luckily, no. I was stuck for about 2 hours almost. And my manager actually ended up going to grab her Tahoe. And she has like a latch on the back. So she pretty much just hooked up the truck to her Tahoe, brought it to me, and just pulled me out. And she told me, just put it in neutral and we're going to get you out of here.
Oh, wow.
Even though I had to wait a while, but I mean, I still got out. I didn't get to finish my route, though, unfortunately, because I was behind by so much. And I was stuck for so long, so I pretty much had to do as many stops as I can, and then I just pretty much took all the rest of the packages back to the station.
Yeah.
And had to deal with it the next day.
Exactly, right. Going back to, what type of video games do you like to play, or is it just any and all?
I'm a heavy sports fanatic, mostly basketball, so I play a lot of NBA 2K. And I like games that have really good stories to them, like campaign modes. So I play a lot of Assassin's Creed. I just finished Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Oh.
A couple days ago. I just finished that 100% through, which is crazy.
So do you have a preferred, whatever, not platform, what is it, console?
No, I'm open. I actually have both. I have Xbox and PlayStation. I don't have PC, though, which is what I want. Because if I get PC, I feel like I won't need a console. Because,
that's true.
Yeah, I can do my beat making, my editing, my gaming, all on one system. So
you just need to get a controller, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Got it.
Just keep one of my controllers from my console, and maybe my Xbox controller. Because it's, Microsoft.
It's been a while since I have been able to play any video games. So
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. I just never feel like I have the time. But
and I have like a super like techie background. So and I can build PCs and stuff.
Oh.
So like, that's the thing is like, I don't have a PC, even though I can build myself one. It's just, I never took the time out to order pieces and everything and just get myself a PC. I'm just like, I'll get it eventually.
Do you see that as something you might want to do, like, for a living, or just...
Maybe, because I've been doing this delivery stuff for a while, too, because I worked at Amazon before I did FedEx. So, like, I love to drive as well, so that's another thing. But before that, I did work at a mobile kiosk called Market Source. It was, like, inside of Target, and we fix cell phones. We activate, like, services, cable services, Verizon, AT&T, everything, Comcast. Wow. We sold a lot of consumer cellular, which is like the phone plans for like veterans and senior citizens and things like that, because they get discounts on those when they have like AARP memberships and all of that type of stuff. I know I'm getting into like a whole tangent of
no, that's just, yeah. I also understand that you can really love something but never want to be paid for it in a way. Like just don't make it a job, because once you make it a job, it's no fun. So
and that's literally how I am with producing. Like, I love it so much, and like it's so much of like a, you know, an outlet for me. And it's like I put so much of my emotions into it. It's kind of like, it's like near and dear to me. It's like I don't do this for the money aspect or to be famous or anything like that. If it comes with it, that's great. But like that's not something that I like intend to pursue with doing this. It's like for my own mental health. It's to keep me sane. Right. Honestly.
There's something definitely to be said about like to actually, the reason that you do it is you have to, but it's because your soul needs it, not because you need to get money for it. You know?
It's like it's therapeutic for me. It's therapeutic for me. So it's like, I don't like, that's not my intentions with making it. It's like I'm not. I just have that soul into it. It's those emotions. This is like, it's too much put into it to just, you know, I can't give this away. But I mean, if somebody end up wanting it, then of course,
sure,
great.
Well, because then they can also enjoy kind of, or join you kind of in that, not the idea of so that they can make a hit song, so to speak, but more of like so that they can join in that creativity of whatever you want to say, like just that sense of community, that sense of like, to bond over the music.
Because it's like, regardless of how I feel about it, I don't want to take that away from someone. Like, if you really love this that much and you really want to, you feel like you can make something very good, by all means do that. I don't want to take that away from you. Like,
Ricko.6ix3O, thank you so much for being on the show and telling me about your song Thought I Was Done, about the Champaign-Urbana music scene, and of course your favorite non-musical things. So thank you so much for coming all the way out here.
No problem. Thanks for having me. Thank you for listening to Champaign is Also a Band podcast. This is Ricko.6ix3O reminding you, great music is out there. Go find it where you live.
That's a wrap.
Champaign is also a band.
You almost have an NPR voice. It's so good.
Studio sounds bigger on the inside.